We made it.
Oh, welcome to Danny's channel. Would you like to welcome everybody and introduce them?
Yes.
I don't know. What are we doing?
Hello and welcome back, or welcome to the Smokey Unique Book Club.
Our Automotive Book Club Live. We are on
Yeah.
book 2 of the 3-book series of Smokey Unique's. I don't know, like would you call it like memoirs, autobiography?
It's almost like his memoirs, right?
Kind of like memoirs. I don't know, but all right. So we just got started. So I would like to begin while we're waiting for everyone to get their books, get their drinks. I'm drinking highball. It looks like an adult beverage, but it is simply sparkling water with caffeine in it. Because I need more caffeine, people.
I got vitamin B. Yes, so we have vitamin and this is my adult beverage.
He's got his adult beverage?
As everybody calls it, it's just
so
water.
we've got books, booze, and... I was trying to think of another creative B word, but I couldn't. So anyway, hello everybody. While everyone's getting in the room and getting ready, getting their drinks, getting their books, getting their notes, I figured I'd start off today's live stream with 10 questions from the reading material, and we'll see how many of y'all can get them right. Okay. So, and they're in order throughout the entire chapter. So we're going to start at the beginning of the chapter here. All right, so the first question is, according to Smokey, what makes someone a freak among racers? So according to Smokey, what makes someone a freak among racers?
They don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't...
And it was good.
Yes.
Just trying to get it going here, folks.
No,
Yes,
absolutely,
yes,
you
yes.
are right. Okay, so on page 203 in the Marvin Panch chapter, Smokey talks about this amazing character, and just in case you're new here and you're joining us for book club for the first time, in this chapter or in this series of chapters, yes, I see it. We've got yes, Kelsey knows. We're looking through. I know Kelsey always does her reading. Kelsey is like a very special automotive lady.
Did you always take an apple to your teacher? Just wondering.
I know Kelsey. She's special. She's also going to help me paint the crappy trailer. So for those who have been really enjoying the crappy trailer series, you're going to get to see maybe if she lets me, you'll get to see a little bit of Kelsey.
It won't be a crappy trailer for long.
It will not be.
It's actually really cool because you have to look deeper into the outside. Once you started to peel off that onion and get it on there, it's actually a pretty cool trailer.
It's even crappier when you start peeling everything down. Well, you'll see tonight at 7 p.m. people. But yeah. So in this series, we're sort of like following the history of NASCAR, Indy, Circle Track, Pikes Peak, like the history of racing all throughout the stories of these characters. 50 good drivers and a bass hole, I think. This whole chapter is sort of broken up into sections. So underneath the Marvin Panch section, well, I surprised Fireball didn't object too much. He liked Panch. Everybody liked Panch, except cigarettes, alcohol companies, and wild women race fans. He didn't smoke, drink, or chase pussy. You might say he was a freak among racers. So, according to Smokey, if you're not a womanizer, you don't drink and you don't smoke, you're
a freak of
an
nature.
outlier.
Yes,
you're an outlier. Okay. Question 2. What is another word, or what's the typical word for what Smokey calls maypops? I think Danny knows.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say this one because I think everybody else needs to participate. Come on,
And
you guys.
y'all are gonna know.
Yeah, you're gonna need to know. This is on page 213. There's also a digital copy of this book we're reading. I've got the soft cover, and Danny has the hardcover version of the book. On page 213 in the Charlie Glutzback chapter, he is referring to
Anybody?
maypops. And in this case, it was the description that Joe Weatherly gave to Goodyear tires. So if you ran Goodyear tires back then, no offense to Goodyear, they were called maypops. And actually that sort of started with Goodyear, and then it went out and about, and
it was a thing of Goodyear and Firestone.
Yes.
And one was better for one time, and then all of a sudden they're whatever. But yes, so even back then, Goodyear wasn't the number one
No.
unless you wanted, a Maypop.
No, and back then, like, really racing was a proving ground for a lot of the tire companies, as we sort of found out in this chapter as well. So I think a lot of them qualify as Maypops. But in this case, the answer is Goodyear tires. All right, so you ready for...
So not just the tire, Goodyear tires.
Goodyear tires,
Okay?
yes,
We're
yes.
just reading out of the book.
We're just reading out of the book?
Yeah.
Sorry, Goodyear.
If Goodyear's out there looking for sponsors,
yeah,
we'll
we'll
just
take
read
free
it.
tires.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if they're Vappops, they're better now. I hope so.
Yeah.
But okay. All right. Now this is a question for Danny, but also for all of you. Question number 3: what was the mystery engine?
Oh.
I know.
Shop Mom knows too, but y'all know.
I can really get into it. I thought, but someone's gonna know this one.
Yep.
Someone's gonna know this one.
Someone's gonna know. But I think actually I wrote this down because I kind of wanted you to get really into it. Do you mind getting really into it?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Y'all are, yes.
What was the mystery engine, Danny?
So the mystery engine, there wasn't. It was essentially the first big block Chevy, but that we know it's a big block Chevy because they were already doing the 409.
Page 214 in the book.
So it was a mystery engine because it was the newest big block Chevy. So the Chevelle number 13. I wish I could show you the Chevelle. It has the mystery engine in it.
We can try. Mystery,
that's
Chevelle.
Chevelle. So it was the early
The
big
famous
block.
Chevelle.
Yeah, and Chevy wasn't quite on board yet.
Oops,
They were still deciding to make the big block to be the 409 or the current platform that we know as the big block. It looks a lot like a big block, but if you look at the heads are different. The heads are more rounded. There's a couple of things different of that engine, and then it became the actual big block, and it went through another change. But it's the first big block, and in fact, right there you go. There's the bearings for the big block.
Mystery engine.
Mystery engine
and
bearings.
Is that Smokey's handwriting?
That's Smokey's handwriting.
Oh my gosh. Well, then you probably shouldn't touch it.
It's in the case, but yeah, that's his right. So he coined it the mystery engine. For a long time, I kind of thought everybody else coined it that. Well, that's his writing in early days.
Yes.
And it was at SEMA several years ago in a glass case, and it had mystery engine on it, written on it. And so, but there you go. The first essentially big block Chevy that actually won, because as we know, the 409 went away. It wasn't that a 409 wasn't a good motor. It was a torque monster, and it was a debate of the two. But who won was the big block Chevy.
Wait, wasn't this one the 427?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was way ahead of its time. And it actually, that platform actually stayed. We have still the big block Chevy to today. So,
and that was in 1963 that he built the first mystery engine. Like I said, that was on page 214 under the Johnny Rutherford chapter. But we're gonna get back to all this. We're just questions. Okay. So question number 4. This is some, if you remember back from the end of our last book, we had some vocab words, I guess you'd call them, like Smokey's dictionary. This is a vocab word. What's another word for a controlled environment? If someone enters a controlled environment, what does that mean?
I don't know, but David Johnson wants to know if you set the chicken timers.
No!
I don't think they did. I want you to know the OGs are on it here.
We did not. Whoops. Thank you.
We forgot about our chicken timers.
Thank you for pointing them out. We forgot about the chicken timers.
And that's cool because they remember. It's not just us being silly. They actually.
Y'all are being silly. I'm gonna say hi, Rose. Welcome.
Oh,
hi, Rose. And welcome.
And thank you.
I one for Rose.
Oh, and Brian's here too. He can't stay for long.
Assembly Grease OG.
He's an Assembly Grease OG. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, y'all remember Brian from back in the day when he had a job that he did not like and was just like a cog in the machine. And now he has a job he really does love. He builds he builds these motorcycles, and it's pretty awesome. I scope him out on Instagram, and he's doing great these days. So we're really happy for Brian. But all right, so page 218, another word for controlled environment is prison. And I think we'll see actually quite a few people in this chapter in this
prison?
reading have
in the controlled environment?
Yes, have entered a controlled environment. So we have a few people that lost some prime racing years due to controlled environments. Because don't forget, this is the beginning of racing history. This is moonshiners, people.
And in fact, racers weren't even they were frowned upon. You couldn't even go through a small town.
Right.
So they knew that you had to travel to get to the race. A small town would arrest you. but they didn't even want you in. So
Yeah.
they were like the Bandito or the Hells Angels of the time. A racer was bad. Now we also find out in the books that they would build engines in their
In their hotel room.
in their hotel room,
How do you do that clean?
and all the stuff that they did. So we get that,
Okay.
but it was found. Yeah, racers weren't a good thing. If they knew you would socialize with the racer, that was just bad. Like I said, moonshine.
Right.
That is how
Outlaws.
the racer's side job or primary job was moonshine, and then they would race on Saturday
yeah.
because their car was already set up to go fast.
Right, yeah, yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of see, actually, there's one of my favorite characters in this chapter developed his car according to, like, Smokey's just, like, recount of this character. Like, developed his car in order to, like, evade the police for things like that. So he's like, well, he already had a fast car, that handled well, because he was already trying to, like, outrun. I think he made his own whiskey. His family made his own whiskey, and they didn't collect taxes on it. So they always had the tax collectors after him. So he always had to run from the tax collector, which means his car was fast. That's at least Smokey's recount.
Yeah, and the cars were set up to go fast and to be extremely well handled on dirt roads.
On dirt, yes.
And early on in racing, it was on dirt tracks.
Yes.
So it fit perfect. It was like you know what? I already built the car for doing what I do, but let me just go. So that's why, So that's why a lot of the moonshine actually became NASCAR drivers.
Yes, and how so many of them did end up, in jail.
Yeah.
Okay, so question 5. What is a stove bolt? What is a
I know what a
stove
stove bolt
bolt? I had to look this one up when I was reading. I don't know if anyone else like looks up the cars, the engines, the people, the tracks. I'm sort of like a visual learner, so I needed to like look up all of this stuff. So a stove bolt you're gonna find on page 219. If you looked up any pictures of it, Smokey references. Which chapter is this? Oh, Jerry Grant, but I don't think he was talking about Grant at this point. Somebody came over, they wanted to know how much steam the blowed stove bolt had. Obviously the grammar is Smokey grammar, but basically it was an inline 6-cylinder engine that was produced by GM, and it got its name because the bolts that were used to hold down, I think the main caps or something like that, resembled, or maybe it was the head on the block.
They resemble the stove bolt yes.
They resembled the bolts that were used to hold stoves together at the time. So I don't know what exactly it was about them. I was looking at pictures and I was trying to look up stoves from that era too to try to put 2 and 2 together. But I don't know, interesting little engine.
And there isn't a picture.
There's no picture in the book. I know I had to look up just a picture on the internet. All right, question number 6. What is the last badge a real racer gets, according to Smokey Unick? The last badge.
You dug deep for these questions.
That a real racer gets. They're good questions,
yes,
aren't
they
they?
are. You're moving us right along. That's,
Sorry, I'm trying.
I'm gonna go to my notes. I'm going deep into my notes for this one.
So this is on page 220. Actually, there's a lot on page 220 that I really wanted to cover. I've got a lot of notes on page 220, but this reference, the last badge that a real racer gets is to have made it through life without having to ever have worked. So we see throughout the book, we learn the things that Smokey really values in people and the things that he finds like the not so attractive qualities of people. And I noticed that he does like to point out when, like, it was sort of a miraculous thing when a race car driver also was a really good mechanic. And I think there's only a handful of folks that would actually race the cars, then stay late and help, whether...
There was some prima donnas.
Yes.
That wanted you to just show up and get in the car, as opposed to back then. You traveled with the car. You took turns driving the car. You drove the car to the track. You worked on the car.
Yep.
You were the pit crew, and you were the driver too. I don't know how you could drive all night and drive the car, but that's what you did. That's just. And then all of a sudden you started having the ones that the car gets there and everything else, and you just show up and you race.
Right.
And there was still a couple in those days that Smokey even mentioned that just weren't going to do anything to the car. Weren't even going to push the car.
And of course, I think he happens to be being facetious in this comment. I don't think that that's actually what a real racer is to him, but that was just I was sort of a dig at and a couple people that he did not like, of course. Okay, so
By the way,
question.
while we've got a little pause here, I want
Yes.
to let you know that Charles Whitman's glad that we're back, and he's glad to see you're only 2 degrees off to the left.
Oh,
Charles, we can count
Let's
on
go
him for
that way.
an accurate
2 degrees off to the left. Okay, 2 degrees off to the left.
And Rose
Okay.
likes your glasses.
Thank you. They're a gift from Kelsey.
Now I wanted to ask, which ones? The ones on top of your head, or the ones that you're wearing in front of your
Safety
eyes?
glasses
There you go.
versus.
we could have something fall from the sky.
We could. I must be extra safe.
You're
No, these are
yes.
actually. My friend Kelsey got these for me. How do you buy glasses for someone else that are so perfect? I don't know. But they actually, I don't have any problem with my vision. It's for blue light filter. I just wear them for like nerdy book club look. So, and for when I'm editing my videos, and they actually really do help reduce headaches after hours and hours and hours and hours.
I thought
and
you
hours
were
of-
wearing 2 pair of glasses because everybody always has to comment, "Oh my God, you're pretty eyes. Put your glasses on."
Oh yes,
So I
I
got
must.
2 pair.
Yes, I'm doubling up. The only problem is I actually can't see through
Good.
these safety glasses because they're so scratchy. Can you see through them? I don't know. It's time for me to retire these safety glasses. But all right. So question number 7 out of 10. What do pelicans do? What do pelicans do according
And he used
to
this a lot.
Smokey Eunuch?
He used this a lot.
Yo.
So I'll even still use this one.
Well, would you like?
Come on, Rose. I know the Rose knows about the pelicans.
Would you
No,
like?
poop is what David Johnson says. Poop. Well,
Yes.
they may do that a lot too.
Yes. Well, I mean that's part of
That's
it.
definitely,
That's definitely part of it.
but-
And what is this? This is on page 223, and of course,
He used the suits and pelicans.
yes,
Quite a bit.
yes, and those are bad words almost.
Well, but
Like
the way
they're derogatory
He
terms.
didn't care for the suits and he didn't care for
He
the
didn't
pelicans.
care for the pelicans.
I'll give you a hint. Can I give him a hint?
Of course you can.
He was from Florida. That's where he landed and he stayed, and that became Daytona Beach, Florida.
Yep.
So pelicans.
All
Come
they
on, come
did
on, somebody.
was eat. Oh, Brittany is in the room. Hi, Fast Cars and Slow Cooking. Hello, Brittany. Speaking of race car drivers, we might need Brittany's input.
badass.
She is so badass. I know, Brittany, you're amazing. She's actually like living the Smokey Eunuch dream. We're just back here in the shop trying to build the Smokey Eunuch dream. Okay, people. Brittany's
I live
actually doing it.
vicariously through her when
I
I go
know.
watch her when she's at the track.
She's
And thank
so
you
awesome.
for sharing, because
Yes.
you know, it's for a small little moment. It stops, and I get to be there, kind of a little bit. For some people, it may not matter. I said, thanks for sharing. That's actually kind of cool.
Yes.
And you're badass. But besides that, all right.
Okay, so Charles says down the camera, it's like 6 degrees off to the left.
Oh!
8 degrees off to the right would be 99% accurate. Damn it.
I think I'm just a little 6
But
degrees
now
off.
everyone can see
It's
the
just-
Gmail.
It's just me.
better.
Yeah, in case you want to email therealshopmom@gmail.com and send us your feedback, send us your input, tell us how much you love the books, But if you send us anything nasty, we'll never hear. Just shop mom will curse you. And you do not want a curse
She will
placed upon
find
you.
Yeah,
You
you
don't.
don't want to
will
be on my
find you.
bad
You
side.
do
But
not.
I'll say this, I love that angle because everybody can admire those beautiful chairs.
They can. Our chicken chairs. Okay.
Okay, we get
So,
sidetracked there.
pelicans. What
Yes.
do pelicans do? About all they did was eat, ship,
So he was kind of a little
and
like.
squawk.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. But what are actual, what are the pelicans?
The pelicans were everybody that just swerves, hangs around you and is always coming in to pick something from you. So he called the pelicans are all of the people that were always around and picking questions and picking. And
They could be the media. They could be people from the manufacturers, whether that's tire manufacturers, whether that's automotive manufacturers that are just into it's like, just let Smokey do his thing. But no, they're sort of bothering. Sometimes it could be overzealous fans, although quite not that often we hear them. It's more of like manufacturers, stuff like that, and the media.
If he wrote something, and he wrote a lot. He wrote for Circle Track magazine. He wrote for a lot.
Hot Rod magazine, right?
For Circle Track. I don't think he ever wrote for Hot Rod, but he was in Hot Rod.
Popular mechanic.
Yeah,
Oh, Popular Mechanics.
But he was in Hot
Yep.
Rod a lot. There's an article from Hot Rod right up there, the original
That's right,
article.
okay.
So he was in a lot of magazines, and he wrote editorials. But
And he complained about how much money he got paid for
he
it.
didn't get paid hardly anything, and he would read every letter. Back then, Popular Mechanics would send him these big bags of letters that everybody would write. He would go through and read them all before the next month's things, and he would address them and at least answer them if it was a good one.
How does he have the time?
I don't know. And that's
Don't
just
you
given.
feel like now?
But a pelican would be someone that he's already answered this question. He's written it. It's out there everywhere. And here comes a new editor for another magazine or someone that didn't take the time to go read about Smokey or go learn about Smokey and ask smart questions. So a pelican is somebody that's just new that comes in and going to ask the same stuff. Pelicans fly around you. They swoop in and they pick you all the time. They're picking your brain.
Yep.
So that's a pelican.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they crap on you.
And then they crap. So Dave Johnson was right.
Yes. All right, we got 3 more. And this is kind of a joke, but it's on page 235. What are Smokey's life dreams? What are
early on or
Smokey's
late?
life dreams? In this chapter.
We're gonna everybody go to your come on everybody
Go to your book, I know.
Yeah.
So, according to Smokey's writing on page 235, Smokey says, "Heck yes, my life dreams are to lay Marilyn Monroe and win Indy." And it was with that way of thinking that he decided to do his first television interview because he thought it would get him that much closer to meeting Marilyn Monroe.
And he did win Indy.
And he did win
So
Indy.
he got half of
He
his-
got half of his life
yes.
dreams.
And he would have probably given that up for Maryland, but anyway.
All right, we got 2 more, and these are good ones, I think. Question 9.
You dug in deeper on the good ones.
I'm trying. I try to keep it interesting. This is Book Club Live, people. So, all right. So, question 9: who started Sema? We were just talking about Sema earlier today, because we both do plan on attending Sema. So, if you're gonna go, let us know. And
Come hang with us at SEMA.
yeah, and we're hoping to at least have a couple places where we'll be able to set our bags down and hang out for a good portion of the day. So you can sort of have to schedule your whole day around half an hour. We're gonna be one spot, so we'll let you know together. We'll be there together. We hope.
We totally. I guess me. But I shouldn't say we until we guys till I say it a little too late. Like to helping share the story and the love of Smokey is eBay Motors has really been awesome. They've just been really awesome. Embraced the Smokey. I mean, we've taken the hot paper car.
Let's be real. It's him. I'm just happy to hang on.
No, this
It's
is
us. This is
it's
us.
us. It's Team Texas. It's Team Texas
Texas,
and
that's
Team
right.
Texas. We've been fortunate. It's been awesome. It's just been real awesome. But to help share the story for no other reason than sharing the love of Smokey Unick, which. That's what all we're doing when we're doing the book club. So I just see you at SEMA. You come hang with us, okay?
But no.
Oh,
Is that our
perfect
first
timing.
one? That's our first one. Okay. So let's see. Where is this? Okay. So do you remember who started SEMA?
I'm gonna go by.
The guess is Vic Edelbrock.
Vic-
Okay.
Dave Johnson says Edelbrock. Robbie Ballard says Vic Edelbrock.
Not Mickey Thompson. It was so.
According to Smokey Unick, it was Mickey Thompson started SEMA.
Hey, I have an intake hanging on the wall. Mickey Thompson, small block Ford.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And he produced a ton of parts. The Mickey Thompson chapter was by far one of the most interesting portions of this.
He was early on influential in racing.
Yeah.
But not only in racing, which he raced all kinds of stuff in racing, but in the production of parts. Of empty valve covers. We all from the old days we have to have a set of empty valve covers on our car. But it wasn't just empty valve covers. Actually, we have a compressed air engine, which is doing really well. If you haven't gone and looked up the compressed air supercharger, who was the first person to have a compressed air engine?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean,
Mickey
was it Mickey Thompson?
Mickey Thompson put a bottle in a dragster, and it's a big long bottle. But he's the first one to do compressed air.
He had a ton of revolutionary ideas that was just like
He wasn't scared to try new things. He was way ahead of the curve. Here it is, 2022, and we're just now doing the compressed air. And he did this way early on before he was even
the 60s.
I don't even know when he did the compressed air dragster, but yes, he's been doing stuff to the same. I mean, he's very influential in cutting edge new technologies. Yes, he wasn't afraid to do stuff that wasn't the norm. So he actually pioneered a lot of different things. I mean, it's pretty.
And went with a lot of the crazy stuff that Smokey was doing as well.
And we shouldn't go to
He's
his.
a pretty crazy guy.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that part.
He got along really well because, what did Smokey say? Mickey loved big women.
He liked big women, and he was not a racist.
And dark women.
He was not a racist, apparently.
No, he was. And he never closed the door.
So this is why we say that book club is not for kids.
This is for kids.
Okay.
I'm just going by what Smokey says.
All right. One last question,
you
guys.
Okay.
All right. So, how did Smokey describe the Pikes Peak race? How did Smokey describe the Pikes Peak race? This is too funny. This is on page 246. Smokey described the Pikes Peak race as going fast up a shitty road to the top of a mountain with no guardrails. Pretty much sums it up. So, okay, with that being said, those are my 10 questions. We've got 23 people in the room now, and we've been going.
I just point out, I
Yes.
shouldn't interrupt,
Oh.
but there is a request in the email.
Yes.
I'd like to see Danny and Faye wearing Smokey's hat sometime during the show. So
We can make that happen. We only have one hat, but we can make that happen. I don't know how it will fit on my massive head, but we'll get this going.
Where's
It's
our
because of the
hat?
brains, people. It's not
You
because
have
of the
two
hair.
hats.
It's the brains.
It's in the Plymouth.
you want to get it?
No,
And
it's in
then you can
the
both wear one.
it's in the trunk. We don't need to both wear it. I mean,
I'm
there you
sorry.
go.
I'm not doing this alone.
yeah. Oh,
I don't
so
mind.
I'll be right back.
You can absolutely do that.
You
Yeah.
hold on the phone.
I can hold down the fort because I wanted to start out this chapter. I don't know if anyone, start out. We're like already like halfway into the live stream, but for those of you that have the book and are reading this, like, did you notice that the very last section of this chapter, summing up the types of people that it takes to be a racer, just like it really hit me. It actually gave me chills throughout my entire body, especially reading the Mickey Thompson chapter for sure. And then just like hearing the people and what they overcame and what they went through. It was a different breed of people back then for sure. But I'm gonna read from page 244 and got my notes here. Just because I sort of want to set the stage for what we're about to talk about. So anyone who reads this page, this is a fact. Mickey Thompson was as good a racer as it's possible to be. Consider this. The man who willingly risks his life, knowingly, is not the same breed of cat as a man who goes to work at 7 a.m. with a lunch bucket and comes home at 5. You have to cut a real racer a little slack to understand the movie. So, he does talk about a lot of these folks, some of their good qualities, some of their bad qualities. I mean, we know at this point, Smokey's very critical of certain things, doesn't like liars. He's okay with cheaters.
Yes,
but don't lie. And one of my major takeaways was how these people were not limited by anything. Some of the smartest inventors that he talks about here didn't even go to high school. Some of the people that he calls engineers don't have engineering degrees. They're just brilliant minds. And the people that show up at the racetrack have gone through everything to get there. They've sacrificed their family. They've sacrificed their health. And that is a major takeaway that I got at the end of this chapter as well, which is really, I like poignant in my life right now because I'm going through some health battles, and Shop Mom's got some family health battles that, you both have some family health battles that you're dealing with right now. And it's like,
Oh, that's right. We're in the same family. Dude.
That like really those who won at life, according to Smokey, got out of racing when it was their time to get out of racing, and then lived on to enjoy their golden years. And you'll notice there's a theme in this book that very few of the best racers that there were, according to Smokey, actually had a good go of their golden years, if at all. So
a lot of them went to the end, and no one even know. They didn't get the recognition that he thought that they, they were great racers.
He hated that part of it. He really did. You could devote your life to something and nobody would pay attention.
Right.
And let's remember, age is a gift not given to all.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? And not even and we're not even all born with the ability to be able to do all of these things. There are things that set us all back in so many ways, but just seeing some of these racers was so inspirational to me, because it's like these people, it was their choice. No one handed, see, this hat doesn't stay on my massive head. It's my brain.
Yeah, I know.
It's my brain. It's not my hair.
That looks way better. I like it like that. Danny,
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm trying.
It's kind of funky.
Well, somebody said I look like this is
Yeah, like you're on heel.
like from heel, and you just told your age, which I know what heel is, but you did.
Your brim is just pushed up in the front.
Yeah, well, there we go.
So, yeah, the end of this chapter gave me chills. And for those of you that are just joining us for book club and don't read the book, which is totally fine too. You're so welcome to join us. Not everyone has time to sit down and read. It's definitely a luxury. Although I don't know how Smokey did it with all those letters, but I want to. Can I begin reading by the end? With the end?
Oh, just remember?
Yes.
It'd be between a race. He was such a well-read man. It was between a race, and he's reading the newspaper. Between everybody else was all struggling. He's reading the paper. He read. I'll just go about what you're saying. He said he was a well-read man. He was totally well-rounded.
Yes.
I mean, he was just okay.
Yeah, no, he really was. So on page 255, that's the deal, folks. You've met some of the greatest drivers racing will ever have. Add in the other 40 to 50 aces. Imagine 60 to 80 of them all in Darlington. If you can find a good quality film of the early stuff, you're gonna get a surprise. There's wall-to-wall excitement every single minute. I'm not gonna infer that racing today is not great. What you will notice is the early breed was a totally different breed of cat. They seemed fearless in all categories. Danger, money, fame. It seemed like every one of them bet everything they had on every roll of the dice. For example, points, championships, amount of prize money, tomorrow, family, for most, came second to winning today. Maybe like your city commissioner spending $100,000 to get a job that pays $10,000 a year. There was an indescribable magic that lasted for about an hour after you got the job done. And I'm not a good enough writer to describe the magic that made men knowingly risk their lives for 3 to 4 hours, 40 to 50 times a year for what today is less than the price of a new plain John Chevy this year. I was talking to Harvey Walters, Humphrey's #1 man, in a race control at Charlotte while a race was on. He told me how he watched an old race start to finish and how much he enjoyed it. And told me it suddenly dawned on him. The difference in racing today and yesterday was a kind of an evolution from a larger group of potential winners with little or no breaks in the struggles to win, with tighter running and 0.001 one-thousandths less than rubbing, where they raced every lap as if each lap was the winning lap, with a major difference. In this respect, you could go left, right, over or under the man in front of you, but you had the code of the hills. Don't touch him. The excitement and suspense was heightened by ever-present blown tires. First Darlington race, over 600 tires were blown. Thus the Maypops. The new rules have changed forever the game. I suppose that's all. I suppose that's the same in all sports. Looking at attendance, I would be foolish to conclude today is bad. In a practice of comparing yesterday's racers and athletes to each other, my opinion is it's not possible at all. They are not apples to apples. If yesterday was apple, today is half apple, half orange. If you've got a grandfather race fan, ask him if the above is real. Who's his favorite? Fireball? Jeff Gordon? Yesterday's racers was a struggling tire trying to get loose. Today's racer is a skilled surgeon working with calculated precision. Whew. Okay, that was a mouthful, and it's really hard to read in Smokey's style. He writes kind of like he spoke, which I don't speak like Smokey.
It has character. It has character, but it's not an easy read unless you. If you're educated, it's a hard read for me. Yes, it's different.
But how different the racers were. It was so interesting how throughout the chapter Smokey talks about every single one of them and how he knows some of them very well and he does not know some of them as well in other ways. How a lot of them didn't actually mingle outside of racing. And about those that did become very close were devastated when one died. And then I think it was who was it that were super 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 close. Junior Johnson. I have to read that chapter.
We're talking about the
Joe Weatherly. Sorry. Okay. It was Joe Weatherly and Curtis Turner. I think actually at the very beginning of this book, Smokey sort of referred to like the Weatherly and the Turner. What did he call it? The let's start a new party. You remember that from earlier on in the book? It's like, let's start a new party now. And it was consistently, it was those two that everyone was so excited to find out what hotel they were staying at, whether it was the female or even the male race fans. They just wanted to be a part of that party crowd. And so Weatherly and Curtis Turner were really, really close. And then Smokey talks about in the Joe Weatherly chapter how devastated he was after Curtis Turner died, and how it really, really messed him up. And he was like, well, maybe that's why they, no one ever really associated with each other outside of a race day, the racers, but how close-knit that community was in terms of how I just feel like people are different. It's like nowadays you get into like a little tiff with somebody on social media that might not even be directed towards you, and suddenly someone hates this person. Whereas on the racetrack back then, people were different. Like people, like you could beat up somebody else's, like I don't know, like there was
and going back to on the old days, if you cut somebody off or you did something, and I remember long time ago, there was a crowbar coming out, there was a fist fight. You could do whatever, but it was going to be handled in the infield before the cars got loaded up.
Yep.
So
and then you fought it out, and then you shook hands, and it was done.
You didn't have no social media, blah blah.
And it didn't go talking crap. I mean, you might have. He's got a whole
like
book talking crap, right?
But
it's just like different. There was a respect. There was an ethical code. There was an unwritten code among these racers because they all went through the same stuff and the same experience. And there's not very, yes, Venom says kids today are soft. People today are soft. People are very soft. But it's like, it's almost like that instant kinship. It's like how just from my experience in my small world, if I meet another woman mechanic who's been in it as long as I have an instant kinship with them because I know what they've been through to get here. Kind of like this, except on a much smaller scale. In order to be a real racer, you sacrificed everything. So much. You sacrificed your family, you sacrificed your health, which Smokey talks about here as being like the ultimate prize that you take away from this.
Winning had to be everything.
Winning was everything. And that made you all the same.
And there was exceptions to the rules, and Smokey did write that. The Petties, Richard Petty.
Oh yes.
The whole Petty family.
The whole family showed up, and they didn't drink. They didn't
party. It was a family thing at their hotel. They didn't stay at the same hotels that Marvin Petty. They didn't stay at the party hotels. But there was a few of those that were family oriented and so. But anyway, and go look at some of the old. I love the old black and whites. Now with technology, they're actually taking away the shaking of the car. There's one, I think it's Junior Johnson. In the car
Junior
with
Johnson.
a cigar, and the helmets they had back then. The
helmets are like wimpier than what I wear when I roller skate.
They didn't have bucket seats. They actually had it was a stock car.
Stock car?
Yeah.
Like a pathetic seatbelt.
Yeah.
Oh, and
you didn't even have a shoulder one.
Anywhere. So, and that was another thing from this chapter is something that Smokey, we saw like really sort of harped on was like, how is racing benefiting humanity as a whole? We touched a little bit on his alternative energy projects in here, but not much. But he highlighted who was it who died? Was it Joe Weatherly? I think. Was it? Yes. Okay, so when Joe Weatherly had his crash at NASCAR, where he sort of crumpled up on the wall and got stuck inside the car. And that ended his life. That's when they wrote in the rule book that instead of windows, you had window nets. And so one thing I noticed is that Smokey really highlighted throughout this book when death turned into something that helped. And he says on page 252, okay, so this is the end of the Joe, this is the end of the Joe Weatherly chapter, I think. So he retires and now is being honored for his part in the building of stock car racing. I wish. Nope. Instead, on January 19th, 1964, about 3 months after winning his second championship, we're at Riverside, California. Joe is in Bud Moore's Mercury. Not a good day. Cars running in the shithouse. All of a sudden, coming through the S's, the car slid into a concrete barrier sideways. Adios to our little Joe. Joe's death got NASCAR to put window nets in the rules, and I'm sure many serious injuries and or deaths have been avoided since. Joe, you in your black and white saddle shoes, da 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 da. He's very he really, I don't know if it's his own personal thing that he's trying to like rationalize with himself why he was a part of this for so long, but he tends to point out.
And he connected with all these people. We said earlier that at the end he forgave her, but he really connected with people. So he actually was offended. He was upset that with technology and you race on Sunday, you buy on Monday. So what happens at the racetrack actually helps the regular stock car, the regular car that's sold on at the dealership. But he was really offended that they weren't really doing more because, like he said, what did he say? A driver can hit the wall at 200 miles an hour and walk away, and a mother with her kids gets a 40-mile-an-hour wreck. And that doesn't survive.
Right. So what are we doing this for? What are the lives lost for?
Well,
right.
Why aren't the cars being more crash proof?
Right.
We learned out. We can do that to NASCAR. And at first they weren't crash proof. The Junior Johnson one, if you look at that video, the dash is metal. They had a radio still in it, and he had a cigarette lighter he lit a cigar with. But the cars were literally stock cars. And you know why they took the dash and put a pad on it? Was from the accidents of hitting a metal dash. Well, they were racing and it was a metal dash.
Yep.
They had no head supports or nothing. So.
Yeah. And you mentioned Junior Johnson, so I want to sort of jump to something if you don't mind. One of the questions that I had that was like a little bit more nebulous and doesn't really have an answer was just like, for y'all, during this reading, was there anyone that really stood out to you for their character or for for some quality that inspired you? I really love the Mickey Thompson chapter. I learned so much about him. I was pretty fascinated. Occam Razor has some great points. Crumple Zone's radial tires on that. Yeah, rearview mirror I think is another one, right? That was developed in racing. Plastic fuel tanks, which took a while, not metal.
Because Fireball Roberts, the bladder, yes.
But for me, reading this chapter, I really loved the section on Junior Johnson. And this is the guy that I was referring to at the very beginning of this reading about
moonshine and
yes, exactly. Although it wasn't quite moonshine, I think it was whiskey. Yeah, it was a quart of corn whiskey, or an early racing lingo, leg spreader. But Junior Johnson, I loved. If you have not read this part yet, just you have to read this chapter. But basically, Smokey describes this guy as the ultimate hillbilly. And hillbilly, we sort of think of that as a bad thing, kind of. I mean, he says it was hard, those sort of people, it was amazing to have them just go to high school, let alone graduate.
He had
in his terms.
He had suspenders. He looked like, he was a big guy.
Like it. You needed an interpreter to understand what he was saying because of his southern drawl. His slang was so strong that it was hard to understand him. And
I have a customer like that.
Oh, we have a customer like that apparently. And his family made this corn whiskey, which he felt was he didn't want to charge the taxes for it. He just sold it for his price, and so as a result, he had the feds on his case quite a bit. Part of a clan who never accepted this country's insistence to collect so much tax per quart of corn whiskey, or in the early racing lingo, leg spreaders. Bootlegger was the common description of the pioneering bunch of quiet, reclusive, inbred, fiercely proud, freedom-loving patriots. Sounds like someone I would like. He is described in a way that would make the common person sort of like look past him, like look over him. However, he had some incredible builds, inventions, and I think is one of the winners that came out of who Smokey describes as these 50 good drivers and an asshole. Invented drafting. He built his entire race car in his barn in about 3 weeks with just one other person. He was a mechanic, he was an engineer, he was a racer, and he had a really good understanding of the weight balance of a vehicle, according to Smokey, because of his evasions of the tax man. He was one of those who had some experience in a controlled environment, so was removed from the racing scene for a while, but didn't let it stop him. And so
a lot of those guys back then signed an X for their contract.
Because they couldn't read or write.
They were reading and writing. It was,
right.
They
They
were
didn't
good.
know how to write their own names.
Yeah,
guys.
they literally for signing
And
an
they were
autograph or
amazing
signing.
racers.
Yes.
Like, these are different people, man. Like, where did they go? I want them back. This
And like I
country
said,
would be
Junior
greater with
Johnson
them.
had to survive. You had to get away from the law. You had to drive like hell. You had to set up your car that it can go over bumps and because you go off the road. You got to get away. So you go through the woods. You go through the woods. Well, that car is set up pretty good for back then with NASCAR for circle track. But yeah.
And then, of course, towards the end of his racing career, he didn't get into any major accidents that hurt him. He got into an accident that injured him in a different way. He ended up sideswiping a car that had Bill France in it. And we all know about Bill France from this book. And what ended up happening, of course, was that Bill France had his eye out on JJ. on Junior. And suddenly Junior looked around and was like, well, wait a second. Like, started looking at the rules, started looking how Bill France was coming down on him, started looking at him. He was like, wait a second. And according to Smokey, he said, somewhere in here, Junior happens to look down and notice who's got who by the balls. And that's when Junior says, you know what? Screw it. He decides that at the peak of his racing career, it's time for him to get out. And the party is over for him. And this is where we see sort of what Smokey later on in life begins to find the most value in. So he says he's got a big family, he has, I assume, accumulated enough money to build a big house on top of the hill, pave the road, fence it in. He's in good health. He's got a new family. He's got time to be a good dad. He's got a bunch of big, fat, black cows eating up the grass and fertilizing the ranch. Probably even got a crick on it with a few fishes swimming around. I believe Junior may turn out to be the smartest again when his racing buddies consider how they all enjoyed their golden years. The winner will not be the rich, the one with the most toys. The winner will be the one with the best health. So, whoop, got little chills again just reading that. Think about the most unlikely to have succeeded in not just in this chapter in this book, but also in NASCAR, Indy, early racing history. Here's someone that started out as the ultimate rebel, the ultimate outlaw, making his own corn whiskey, getting chased by the Fed, by the police, ending up in jail, doing some crazy race car things, making some crazy inventions, never going to high school, but never graduating high school. Maybe he went, I'm not actually sure, but never graduating high school, is considered by Smokey to be an incredible inventor, an incredible engineer, an incredible mechanic, incredible driver. Then at the top of his career, pieces out, nice big farm, on the top of a hill, big family, good health. It's like, that guy's doing it right.
Tapped out at the right moment.
Yes. So I don't know that. So that was probably the biggest surprise for me in this chapter, where I learned a bunch about Smokey, and also for those people that think that they can't make it because they want to look at all the things that they don't have. Oh my God! Look at Junior. Like, that was what an incredible part of this chapter to me. So I'm wondering, post up in the comments, post up in the chat threads. David Johnson said, my first moonshine was in 85, a year before I was born. I want to know, like, was there anyone that just really resonated with you, or was there someone that inspired you in this portion of our reading? I'm so curious, because reading that part was
and there was a lot in there. There's the Indy stuff, Al Unser, Johnny Rutherford, also Indy. So he didn't just do NASCAR.
Right.
He and that's another amazing.
And boats.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But the one armed boat. Yeah. Yes. Smokey would get in, and he would get in, and he raced boats. Cars. He even did
Curtis Turner. David Johnson says Curtis Turner as well.
I agree. He even raced Indy. Yes. He'd get in there if you let him. If you let him. He most definitely like he would say. I thought you were joking. Well, okay. If you want to let me get in your car, I'm willing to drive it.
And like these people are so dynamic. We're seeing the beginning of the Pikes Peak hill climb races with someone just like,
and that's the Unser family has dominated Pikes Peak. I think Unser's owned the hill.
Yeah,
But
so they bought it, right, and it used to be Unser's Peak, and then it became Pikes Peak after they sold it. But the story of how they accumulated, how they acquired that land, I don't know if that's true or not, but trading. Do you remember this from the reading? Like trading some of the natives some whiskey. I think was it moonshine or whiskey? No, 40 quarts. 40 quarts of corn liquor, spelled with 2 Ks, according to Smokey. They traded for Pikes Peak. An interesting story, of course, is in that time was that some of the best meat was raised from cattle and native livestock that was just on those hills. But when you killed the animal, it was hard to get it down to the bottom of the hill before the meat spoiled. So interesting sort of way to get down the hill quick. They learned that. I'm sorry. This is just I loved this chapter.
It was necessity.
Yes.
Was like I said, you know, how do you move the liquor? Everything was necessity. You didn't have time to just fake right. Everything was necessity back then.
Yep.
You know, but because of that, I mean, look where I mean, racing is totally different now.
Racing is totally different now, and I do think that is really what the takeaway that Smokey wants from this chapter, at least. We always try to find the morals of the story, and to sort of see, first of all, like learn about Smokey, but then also see like what can we learn about ourselves from this book. And what can we learn about history from the perspective of Smokey Yunick, and how can we be a better person through the eyes of Smokey Yunick?
And I feel like you said, like you said, he always had every chapter. There's always some hidden gem, and I think in here is giving homage to these drivers, giving them their and he crossed paths with all different ones and. So
I think along the lines of what you're talking about, Danny, probably one of the most important things to remember is that a lot of these people not only crossed paths, but they clashed. And even Bill French Jr., when they would come back, Smokey was always kind. And I think one of the things we can take away from what we've got going on in the world right now is we could all learn from being forgiving and being kind.
Yes.
Because he could have held a grudge if anybody.
Oh.
And Smokey didn't play around with saying what was on his mind.
No.
Yeah. That's why he's still not in NASCAR.
I mean, that's really what I think. Like the people really were different, and we were talking about who said in the chat, was it Venom that said kids these days are soft, and it's so true. We have become soft. We hold these grudges. We get angry, and some of these things. Maybe it's because everything is on social media now. You have everything in writing. You can sort of ruminate and see these things and go back to them, and they're written in stone. Whereas these things are like a little bit more nebulous. But yeah, I mean, Smokey had every reason to hate Bill France.
And he did. And I think he understood people and understood, like,
gave them the benefit of the doubt.
I got why you did that.
And yes, he understood. He put himself in their shoes, and he gave them the benefit of the doubt. And that is like, I had someone ask me recently, Faye, what's the number one thing I can do to be a good friend to you? And I thought in my mind, there's only one thing that I've ever asked from anyone in my life of friends, and that is just give me the benefit of the doubt. Just assume that I have your best interests at heart, because that's an assumption that's going to be right 99% of the time.
I like that. Give me the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I mean, just like look at my actions. Don't just assume that these things.
That's such a beautiful because I say stuff all the time before thinking, and it doesn't mean sometimes I might say something. Give me the benefit of the doubt is such a that's awesome, because in other words we may even say something, but if you say something all of a sudden it's like stone. I'm done with you. Yeah. Didn't anybody make mistakes? Give me the benefit of the doubt. Know my heart. Give me the benefit of the doubt. So in other words, I may have even typed something or said something, not thinking how somebody else may react to it.
Yeah.
But if you know my heart, there wasn't bad intention.
Right.
That's awesome. That is awesome. We need to. Yeah, it's really good, because we all say stuff and do stuff.
Yes.
But if you're my friend, you know me that I'm not maliciously trying to hurt you.
Exactly.
I may have said something that may have hurt your feelings.
Yes.
But that wasn't the intent.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
Brilliant. I'll drink to that. And that we will.
And actually, that reminds me of actually two really important and special people happen to be in the chats right now. So I'm not gonna get emotional. Y'all know I'm a little emotional sometimes. But there's a part of during the Mickey Thompson chapter, and I actually wrote notes about two important people in my life, and they happen to be in the chats. But Smokey talks about like true friendship and how blessed we are in this life if we have just a handful of people, and by a handful he says 3 or 4 true friends. So he's talking about Mickey Thompson, and he says, I considered Mickey a friend, and I damn sure was his friend. You know, I believe at best it's a lucky human who has 3 or 4 friends. I'm talking about someone who will drop what he is doing if you need help. I'm talking about a person that will help you financially if your luck's gone to shit. I'm talking about somebody who will, if necessary, take a chance on getting his bass kicked helping you. I believe in those years I knew every move Mickey made. He constantly stayed in trouble. That should have been his middle name, Mickey Trouble Thompson. And I thought about people that I've reached out to and really relied heavily on in times of need, and how grateful I am to have those friends in my life, and who have, you know, sometimes in some of their times of need reached out to me and I wasn't available because I'm such a busy person. And it wasn't because I didn't love these people, but because I just had other things booked or was out of the state or was just like, you know, just logged in so much work or stress or health stuff that I wasn't able to be there for them. And it's like, those people still, I'm so grateful, you know who you are, have given me the benefit of the doubt, knowing that my intention, of course, is to always do right by them. And sometimes I'm able to, and sometimes I'm not, but that's you know, that's always my intent.
A true friend just knows your heart, knows your intent. And we make
what a great
all the
thing.
time. Yeah.
What a great thing. Yes.
That's actually getting to be a good note to wrap it up on, isn't it?
It truly is.
To the end of the hour.
It is true. We are coming to the end of the hour. So I would like to end then on a few different things.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, it's my grandmother's birthday today, and she's actually pretty sick right now. So everyone, prayers going out to my last surviving grandparent. But one thing that the last time that she came out to visit me, she was telling Brandon and I about how things were different when she was our age. And one of the things that she said was there was, you know, I remember Brandon had asked her, you know, if she was happy during a specific time of her life. And she spent some time reflecting back on it. And she was like, you know, people didn't really think about that back then. There was less navel gazing and more just getting things done. And I loved that, because I think there's a little bit of toxic culture in this do what makes you happy thing. Because while I feel very blessed that I am like living the life that makes me happy, but I want to make sure that we set the correct expectation that does not mean that every single day I wake up and I'm just so happy to go to work, because sometimes work sucks.
It's called work for a reason.
It's called work. And these people were very good examples of that. These people, these racers, were different then. They had real problems, quote unquote real, and that is that's real in the sense of like viscerally real. If they didn't solve a problem, they would die. Or they would starve, or they would, you know, their cars would break and they would go into a wall.
And it was a sacrifice, because you had to work to feed your family and stuff. So racing wasn't really paying.
Yes.
There wasn't no big contract
Yes.
then.
These people were not navel gazing and thinking, am I happy in this moment?
I'm going to racing and make a lot of money.
They were, yes, exactly. Like Smokey said, they were making history for that hour of gratification that happened after they completed something. And what I've gotten out of this chapter is that these people had almost nothing, and they made everything with it, because they made something so important to them that nothing else mattered. So let that be a lesson to all of us, that if there's something that we truly want out there, I'm not saying sacrifice your family, sacrifice your health. Don't do that. You could if you wanted to. These people definitely did. But, you know, we can look at our lives now and also see balance. I can say, you know, could I be a better everything? Could I be a better wife? Could I be a better mechanic? Could I be a better friend? Could I be a, you know, I could be all these things, but at what sacrifice to my sanity, to my health, to my finances, to my whatever, you know, we all have to have a balance. So, you know, so take that with whatever you'd like.
Don't look for somebody else to make you happy.
No, and don't blame someone else for the things that don't go right in your life.
Yeah,
It's up to you.
don't blame somebody else for you not being happy.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
And give people the benefit of the doubt, people. Give people the benefit of the doubt.
I think that's the best thing. Exactly. I mean, like, what could you want more from a friend?
I don't know.
Lawnmower
So we end. Oh, yes?
Lawnmower just got here. He said he never got a notification.
What?
We should remind people about hitting the notification
Hit the
button.
notification
This would
bell.
be a good time to hit the notification button.
Yep,
so
subscribe
that
to Danny's channel, hit the notification bell because
Hurton
Hurton, you just got here.
Hurton made it
Hurton
for
is one of
us.
our best book readers, and I will say that I was expecting Hurton to get all 10 of my questions right, and he's just showing up. So Hurton, you're gonna have to start
You could've helped
back
me
at
out,
the
Hurton.
beginning. And he's gonna have to start at the beginning and see if you get all 10 questions that I asked correct.
and it will be up, so it'll stay
it'll
on
be up.
for forever.
And
Speaking.
then remind everybody about the premiere tonight. If
Oh yes,
you're in the mood
yes.
to
He's
get in the
but
chat.
before we do though, I need to before we remind everyone about my premiere at 7:00, which I just reminded everyone about my premiere at 7:00. Speaking of hitting the notification bell and making sure that you're here and ready for us next time, we ended on page 257, Dear Bill, and so here's the beginning of this chapter. Dear Bill, we are going to read to our next chapter will be on page 281. If you have this version of the book, or if you have the E version of the book, we're reading to the chapter that is Pontiac, How the Sweater Got Knit, page 281. So just, you know, 25, 23, 24 pages.
And it's the same page on the hard copy.
And that is for the next time we are meeting for Automotive Book Club Live is June 24th here on Danny's channel at 3:30 p.m. So be here at 3:30 p.m. On Friday, the 24th of next month. And yeah, for those of you that would like to see more of Danny and I after this live stream ends, we will be live again in the chats of my next premiere.
Yes, come
at
and
7 p.m.
come
on
and
my
partake
channel.
and enjoy. And yes, it doesn't end here. It doesn't end here. You got a little bit of time now to go get your kids fed, whatever.
Yeah,
Yes,
make some food, get another beverage, and join us at 7 p.m. Central Time.
It's a lot of fun. The premiere's a lot of
Somebody
fun.
might want to get out there and check on the chickens too. 'Cause,
Yes.
You know,
I-
it's hot.
I need to check on the chickens. Yes. Well, they get special treats when it's hot out. They get watermelon. They get frozen corn on the cob. They get ice in their water.
Can I just point out to those people who have Saharan tortoises, do not give them watermelon because they can't process that.
Okay.
Go.
It just came to
For
mind
y'all
when you said that.
tortoise
Watermelon
people.
is not something you want to give to a Saharan tortoise.
So,
I've just got it going.
Little
No?
tip.
subscribe to Danny's channel for more tips on caring for your pets.
Yeah.
All right,
There
y'all.
you go.
We will see you. Hopefully, we will see you in 2.5 hours on my channel in the chats.
And then on the side, it's going to be live, so it's going to be premiere.
Yep.
So you'll be able to engage with us, and we'll engage back. Perfect timing.
That being said, peace,
Peace
and
and
assembly
assembly
grease.
grease.
And we'll see you next time.